Hi everyone, Rachel from North Brisbane Psychologists. We had a question posted through our website about panic and anxiety attacks. So I thought I'd answer the question with a video because it's about 35 to 40% of the population will experience at least one panic or anxiety attack in their lifetime. There's quite a lot of people and quite a lot of our clients have experienced panic or anxiety attacks. Really, they mean the same thing. Perhaps you've experienced panic differently to anxiety. So let's go through the symptoms of a panic attack or an anxiety attack. You may not relate to all of these if you've had one, but you may have had a few of these, and this is what alerts you to the fact that you are having an anxiety attack. So you probably felt a heightened sense of vigilance, like something's wrong, something's bad's going to happen, so a sense of danger and all the physical symptoms that go along with that, such as feeling lightheaded and dizzy is something some people report, shaking or trembling, perhaps sweating. Some people experience it like a hot flush. Others experience tension in their muscles, a dry mouth, a feeling of constriction in their chest. This is where the ambulance sometimes get called. People go to hospital and they're told, you're not having a heart attack, you're having a panic attack. They end up in a psychologist's office, sometimes quite perplexed about this because it's never happened to them before, and it's a bit of a mystery as to what triggered it and what sort of set the scene for it. So we'll come to that. Some people just say, I felt like I was going crazy. I was losing control. I felt like I was going mad. So there's a lot of worry and there's hypervigilance that I mentioned. The accelerated heart rate, tingling in the fingers and toes and other places in the skin is quite common. Feeling chills. And sometimes people report feeling abdominal distress, such as nausea. Sick feeling in the stomach. And the other one that's quite common is a feeling of unreality, like a detachment from your surroundings. This is also called dissociation or derealization or depersonalization. They're all very similar psychological terms. Just feeling outside of your body can be very disconcerting. And then once you're in the panic attack, as you probably know if you've had one, it's easy to kind of then get anxious about your anxiety and then get fearful about the fear. And this is our fight or flight response taking over, our sympathetic nervous system. And it's very useful if we actually need to run or fight. So you need to pull a small child off a big busy road. Very helpful to have all of that physical motivation and threat response going on. If you need to run away from a predator or fight a predator, it's very handy. But, our body can inappropriately activate this fight-flight response. And that's why it can be such a mystery to some people. Like, what's going on? They think they're going crazy. So let's look at some of the factors that could lead the brain and body to inappropriately activate this response. So chronic and ongoing stress. So if you've been experiencing chronic stress, this can cause the body to produce higher than normal levels of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and that can set you up. Then it doesn't take much to trigger you. Or perhaps you've experienced acute stress. So a traumatic or distressing event can suddenly flood your brain and body with large amounts of stress chemicals, and you don't maybe realize how heightened you are until something pushes you over the edge. Another factor that might play into creating the condition setting you up for an attack is habitual hyperventilation. So if you haven't been breathing properly, then what that will do is disturb the pH of the blood. The blood gases get out of balance, you don't have enough carbon dioxide, hence the old breathe into a paper bag technique, which can work for some people. So change the ratio of blood gases. I've had a client who had a panic attack after playing a very intense game of baseball. So intense physical exercise, which has got your heart rate really high, can be the trigger for some people. And this client actually had the next couple as well. He'd been sick a few weeks earlier, so having been ill can set you up to be more prone to anxiety and anxiety attacks. Excessive caffeine or drugs and alcohol intake can again just cause physical changes and put your body out of balance. and that could set you up for an anxiety attack as well. And a sudden change of your surroundings, your environment, can also trigger a panic attack. You know, we all know what it's like to walk into a crowded shopping centre at Christmas time, or suddenly be in a very hot and stuffy environment. And that'll get our anxiety levels much higher, and then we're more prone to having a panic attack. We do need to rule out other causes, such as physical conditions like heart disease, medications that might be causing this. So seek professional advice if you've had a panic or an anxiety attack recently. Your doctor's going to want to rule out problems caused by heart issues, medications, asthma, diabetes, inner ear complaints, hypothyroidism, those kind of things. What can you do when you're in the middle of a panic attack? So it's important to know what not to do. So avoid self-talk along the lines of calm down, stop panicking, just relax, because this actually focuses your attention on the symptoms. You know, it's often good advice to focus on taking slow, deep, mindful breaths. And if you're a 5 or 6 out of 10 on the stress and anxiety scale, then, yes, mindful breathing is your secret weapon. It's a key thing to help self-regulate. But if you're 10 out of 10, you're having a full-blown anxiety attack, sometimes that's not the time to be telling yourself to breathe deeply, because that bodily focus on your symptoms might make it worse. So what can you do? You might remind yourself that this is uncomfortable and it's distressing and it's really awful, but it's not life-threatening. You've had difficult feelings before, you got through them, nothing bad happened to you. So telling yourself, it's awful, it's uncomfortable, but I'm not going to die, there's no actual threat, that can be helpful. Nothing bad's actually happening. Focus your attention on something outside of your symptoms. So something neutral. So you might actually just look at something in your environment. You might, like if you're in the supermarket like I was, you might read the back of a hand sanitizer bottle. You might recite the alphabet. You might count backwards from 20. Do something neutral that's distracting, to concentrate on thoughts, sights, or sounds that are distinct from the symptoms of your panic or anxiety. Distraction is good in this situation because you need to allow your brain and body, once you're that flooded with stress hormones that you don't have much control, you actually need to allow your brain and body time to metabolize those hormones. It can take up to 20 minutes. So allowing the symptoms to pass. My advice, if possible, is not to run away from where you are. So, I was in the supermarket, so I tried to stay. I kept walking, I kept looking at neutral objects. I think I made a phone call just so I could be distracted by talking. Because if you run away, then you send the message back to yourself that panic is unbearable, and you associate that place or that person with your inability to cope. And that's not a great message to be sending back to yourself. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below about what has helped you with panic or anxiety attacks. And any questions you might have, please post them in the comments below. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.